Hey YouTube, Backpack Hack here, coming at you with another trail tip. And every outdoor enthusiast should have a very basic fire starting kit. And a lot of people use these Altoid tins because they're very inexpensive, very durable, and they fit the purpose perfectly. And my kit consists of some char cloth. And instead of a flint, I use quartz because I get a lot better spark off of the quartz that I can source out locally than I do with flint. And I also have a Ted Cash steel, and I'll put a link to that website where you can buy one of these down in the description below. But this video is going to be how I make my char cloth. And it's very, very simple. Charring a piece of cloth is very, very easy, and all you need is an Altoids tin, and this is the one that's been through the process quite a bit, and I'll explain to you why it's burned up the way it is. But what you need is a piece of cloth, and this is an arm off of an old shirt. And if you're wondering why I'm cutting up my shirts to use for this, it's because it's got too big of a rip in here to even use anymore. So since this is 100% cotton, I'm going to go ahead and cut this up, and I'm going to show you how to make char cloth. So let's get started. Another thing you might need is scissors. You can get by without them, but I find that using scissors just makes the process a whole lot easier. So you just need some natural material. It can't be synthetic like nylon or polyester. It has to be natural. Cotton is very, very common. Scissors are optional. You need something to put the cloth in to char it. And charring is also called pyrolysis or something like that. I can't think of the exact term. Carbonization is also used sometime. And basically what you're doing is you're taking small pieces of cloth, you're heating it up to the temperature of combustion, but you're depriving it of oxygen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the cloth, put it in this tin, and put it in the fire. So let's get started. What I like to do is just cut it into about 1.5 or 2 inch squares. And this is why I prefer to use a pair of scissors. You could use a knife if you wanted to, but you end up with a lot of stray ends, and it's hard to do. So I just find using scissors just makes it so much easier. Like I say, about 1.5 inch square is what I like to use. That's my end results, and so I just cut them up in 1.5 inch squares, and I can do several at a time. I've never had a problem doing 15 or 20 pieces at a time. Some places I've seen say you can only put in 3 or 4 at a time. I've never had an issue. I've done 15 and 20 pieces of cloth all at the same time within the same tin. So just cut it up to whatever size of finished char cloth that you want, and put them in your Altoids tin. Now there's a big discussion about whether you need to have a hole in the tin. Some people take a nail and punch a hole in it. I don't. I've never had a problem doing it this way. There is enough gap in the hinges. It lets the gas escape, the combustible gas escape. So I never bother putting holes in it. So once you get them ready to go, it's just a matter of dropping it in the fire. And some people do this as part of their fire starting. They will set this down at the bottom and just let it go all night as they burn their fire, and in the morning they'll dig it out when it's cool. I don't. I'm speeding this up a little bit just for the sake of keeping the video a little bit short. You want to keep it in there probably about 5 minutes or so, just to make sure that everything is good and charred. If you have a good bed of coals, you can lay it on a bed of coals. Like I say, some people will actually put it underneath the fire and just leave it there all night, and then in the morning when the fire's cooled down, then they'll dig it out. But the idea here is you're simply raising the temperature of the cloth past the temperature of combustion, but you're depriving it of oxygen. And there is a chemical reaction that is going to occur while it is being heated up. Now you can't see it here in this part of the video, but there are flames coming out of that canister, There is smoke coming out of that canister, but it's hidden by the flame and the smoke of the fire itself. So after about 5 or 6 minutes, and if you want to, you can go 10. You really can't overdo the situation. But then it's time to dig it back out. And you want to make sure that you don't get the can open, because that will ruin your char cloth. You need to leave the tin closed. Had to get a second stick there to be able to pick it up and take it out of the fire. Now, another way you could do this is actually just set the tin right on your stove, if you have a stove. Now, you can do this at home if you don't mind the smoke in the house, but you can do this on a camp stove if you want to, if you're not having a fire or you can't have an open fire. And I'm doing this simply so you can see how long it takes. I think this video clip is about 2 minutes and 33 seconds. I think I remember it right. You can see it start to smoke already coming out of the hinges, and pretty soon you'll see some flames come out. Again, it's important not to open the container, to leave it closed. There you can see the flames coming out of it. Again, there's plenty of holes there around the hinges, so I personally don't think you need to punch a hole in the tin. Just the holes or the gaps that are in the hinges are plenty. And what is burning here is not the cloth itself, but there is a gas that is emitted by the cloth that is flammable. But because you are depriving the inside of the container of oxygen, as the gas heats up and escapes, then since it's past the point of combustion, it burns. So what you're seeing is gas that's burning. That's part of the chemical breakdown of the material inside. And like I say, this is about a 2.5 minute video. You'll eventually see the flames die down. There is some smoke involved here. You can do this on your stove in your house if you don't mind the smoke in the house. Your fire alarms may go off, but you can do this on a stove inside your house. But I just do this every once in a while when I'm out in the campground camping somewhere. I'll just take my Altoid tins and make some char cloth, and you can do this time and time again and get, a couple hundred pieces made in pretty short order. Here you can see the flames are starting to die down. I'm going to let it run until I know that it's completely charred inside. There's no more flames coming out. And once I see that there's no flames coming out, I just go ahead and shut the stove off. And at this point, whether you're doing it over an open fire or on a stove, you just set it aside and let it cool. And once you've got it let it cool down, it's time to open it up. And there are your pieces of char cloth. The char cloth is very, very fragile. It will crumble when you press it, but if you take care of it and store it properly, it will last quite a while until you actually need it. And so that is how I make my char cloth. So this is Backpack Hat coming at you with another trail tip. Be safe out there. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share my videos. Give me a thumbs up. If you give me a thumbs down, put a comment down below, because I can't improve my videos unless I know what you don't like. See you out there on the trail, and be safe out there.